UNTV News and Rescue Command Center. This is Y News with Angelo Castro III and Darlene Basingan.
Good evening. The war games between the U.S. and the Philippine Marine troops today kick off today despite certain issues clouding the bilateral relationships of the two countries. Brian De Paz will tell us why.
The 33rd Philippines-U.S. Amphibious Landing Exercise or PHIBLEX has begun today, aimed at improving maritime security between the two nations. The exercise seeks to enhance interoperability across different range of military operations, including humanitarian and disaster response.
We share a unique and enduring bond in this region, and each year we are offered an invitation to strengthen this relationship during PHIBLEX. We share and have so much in common, right down to our interwoven values: honor, courage, and commitment, honor, duty, and heroism.
The exercises will be held in different military camps in the northern island of Luzon, including live fire exercises and simulated assault scenarios. 3 U.S. Navy ships and a landing craft from the Philippines will be joining the exercises.
Our vision is not for our nation Marines alone. It involves the international and regional partner armed forces as well, with the apparent scale in the number of participants and the subsequent expectations from international communities of spectators. Our PHIBLEX leaders are gearing up in order to achieve our goals.
Meanwhile, the U.S. Embassy Deputy Press Attaché Emma Nagy said the bilateral relationship between the Philippines and the United States will remain despite the straining relationships between the two countries following President Rodrigo Duterte's hostile remarks against Washington.
We are continuing to work with our Philippine partners on our bilateral relationship as we know it to be, as it has existed for decades.
Brian De Paz, UNTV News and Rescue, Camp Aguinaldo.
The World Bank retains its economic growth forecast for the Philippines. The multilateral lending institution expects the Philippine economy to grow at 6.4% this 2016 and at 6.2% in the next 2 years, with the services sector as the key growth driver of the economy. The World Bank also stresses that the Philippine economy may surpass the current forecast if the government can further ramp up spending on infrastructure as planned. In the same World Bank report, the lending institution noted that the number of Filipinos in extreme poverty may significantly decline if the economic growth is sustained and spending on health, education, and social protection expands. Many companies in the country gave positive response to the government's campaign against the end of contract scheme or contractualization. Aiko Miguel will tell us why.
195 employers have regularized 10,532 contractual employees after the consultation and assessment conducted by the Department of Labor and Employment in the whole country. Secretary Bello considers this as among the Labor Department's biggest accomplishments yet.
Unang-una, yung regularization ng ating mga empleyado. But more important than that is yung programa ng ating Pangulo, contract corruption. And that is what I've been trying to observe and trying to implement in the department.
Just last week, the Labor Department has issued a memorandum order for regional directors to conduct suspension and cancellation proceedings in establishments that would be found violating the labor code. Bello has also ordered big companies to comply with labor regulations or else they will face immediate closure. Furthermore, DOLE has released cease and desist orders to some agencies that offer manpower to malls, factories, and other business establishments in different regions.
Isa lang kasi ang marching order. Stop the ENDO and the illegitimate contracting practices. And ibigay sa empleyado ang kanilang benefit of security and tenure.
Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue, Department of Labor and Employment.
Agriculture Secretary Manny Piñol says President Duterte has approved his proposal to locally source supply of rice for the program, which amounts to 21 billion pesos yearly. The government will help the local farmers through the corporate rice farming system, wherein they will be provided with seeds and cheaper fertilizers. Local government units will install retail outlets, which will be called Bigasan ng Masa, where 4Ps beneficiaries can get their rice supply. DSWD will directly pay for the rice expenses to ensure that beneficiaries are fed.
Yung Filipino rice farmers para nanalo sa bidding na 21 billion yung halaga ng kontrata. Karamihan ng mga ATM ng mga 4-piece beneficiaries nakasangla na nga yung pa kayang bibigay mong pera. Eh di wala rin mangyayari dyan. Ang purpose actually ng pagbibigay ng bigas para makakain sila. Ngayon, ibibigay mong pera at hindi nabili ng bigas.
The Department of Trade and Industry appeals to all consumers to avoid hoarding of holiday products this early. Aiko Miguel tells us why.
Hindi naman niya ubusin yan, ngunit pinaglalaanan niya yan sa hanggang December. Ang isipin natin, sometimes we create some market instability.
Trade Undersecretary Teodoro Pascual warns of possible market instability if consumers will start buying and stocking up holiday products at this time of the year. Market instability means abnormal movement of supply and demand. He also explains that by doing so, there is likely to exist an artificial shortage of products which could affect stability of supplies.
Artificial dahil sabay-sabay kayong bumili ng hindi ninyo capacity pa. Kasi nag-stock up eh. Kung dati, siguro sa isang buwan, 3 kondensada lang, triplehin niya yan.
Products such as chicken, pork, pasta, fruit cocktails, and condensed milk are always in demand as the holiday season approaches. Because of this, DTI urges the consumers to buy enough and not more than what they need.
Yung pa isa-isa na lang siguro. Huwag kang mag-create ng artificial movement ng goods kasi at the end of the day, alam mo mangyayari dyan pagdating ng Nobyembre, pag bumagsak ang presyo niyan, tayo kawawa. Kasi wala nang bibili ng Nobyembre. Yan ang difficulty. May artificial shortage. At bawal rin yan sa batas, yung hoarding na tinatawag. Kung minsan, hindi lang consumer, pati yung retailer.
Meanwhile, DTI is set to summon the manufacturers of some holiday products to discuss the supply and demand, as well as the price of goods in preparation for the holiday season. DTI assures that at present, there is enough supply of goods and the prices remain stable. Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
The Philippine Highway Patrol Group will implement alternative routes effective immediately. Leia Ilagan will tell us why.
PNP Highway Patrol Group spokesperson Police Superintendent Elizabeth Velasquez says they will be opening for Mabuhay lanes as alternative route from NLEX towards the airport, SLEX and Cavitex without traversing EDSA.
Ito yung alternate route, no, without flying sa EDSA. So, because of we are expecting heavy traffic for the months.
Route 1 will be from Balintawak via Samson Road, C4 towards Ross Boulevard to destination. Route 2 will be from Balintawak via A. Bonifacio de Masalang, Quezon Boulevard and Loton, exiting Rojas Boulevard to destination. Route 3 will be from Balintawak via Mayon Street, Welcome Rotunda, Vicente Cruz, Nagtahan, Osmeña Highway towards SLEX. Meanwhile, Route 4 will be from Balintawak via Araneta Avenue and Domingo F. Manalo, Panaderos, Pedro Hill, Quirino Avenue, Plaza Dilao, and Osmeña Highway towards SLEX. Likewise, HPG will ask mall owners to maximize the 2-day weekend sale with longer operating hours. The agency will also ask them to organize their respective parking schemes and spaces so as not to block traffic in EDSA.
Very optimistic, no, napapayag sila kasi this is for all of us, no, kasi sila din makikinabang din naman sila rito kung sakali, no, kasi talaga makakapunta ng maluwag lang yung ating mga tao na hindi sila masyadong ma-delay sa traffic. Siguro proper coordination lang.
Leia Ilagan, UNTV News and Rescue, Camp Crame.
The Judicial and Bar Council has received the applications and nominations of 14 aspirants to the post of Associate Justice Jose Perez, who will retire on December 14 upon reaching the mandatory retirement age of 70. The initial list includes Court of Appeals Presiding Justice Andres Reyes Jr. and 6 other CA justices and 2 Sandigan Bayan magistrates. PAO Chief Persida Acosta, Chief State Counsel Ricardo Paras III, 2 Regional Trial Court Justice or judges, and a law professor also applied for the SC posts. JBC is yet to schedule public interviews for the aspirants as part of the vetting process. Let's take a look at the current traffic situation on some major roads in Metro Manila. On EDSA, Guadalupe, expect heavy traffic on the lane going to Shaw Boulevard. Motorists are also experiencing bumper-to-bumper flow of vehicles on the lane going to Ayala. There is a bit of a traffic slowdown along Quezon Boulevard in Quiapo. On the lane going to España, the flow of vehicles is moderate, while the traffic is moderate to light on the lane going to Loton. Meanwhile, on C4 Navotas Road, the traffic is light on the lanes going to San Jose and Ilaya, Visoria.
Next in Y News. The Commission on Human Rights challenges Senator Richard Gordon's credibility to lead the Senate inquiry on the alleged extrajudicial killings in the country.
Senator Richard Gordon slammed Senators Laila de Lima and Antonio Trillanes IV for showing what he describes as unparliamentary behavior in yesterday's Senate hearing.
Y News will be right back. About 1,000 prisoners and employees of the Bulacan Provincial Jail have undergone mass screening by the Department of Health. Rosalie Cos tells us why.
The Department of Health or DOH has conducted mass tuberculosis screening at the Bulacan Provincial Jail. About 1,000 inmates of the provincial jail have already finished the test, while 1,000 more are set to undergo the screening. 49 of the inmates tested positive for tuberculosis. Bulacan Provincial Jail Warden Ferdinand Villanueva says the TB patients are already separated from other inmates and will undergo months of treatment.
So lahat ng mga tao dito sa provincial jail ay dadaan dito sa TB mass screening kasama yung staff at mga jail guards. Yes, para malaman kung sino-sino na yung mga may TB rito sa provincial jail ng Bulacan.
Those who have not yet completed the screening will still have to undergo X-ray and direct sputum smear microscopy or DSSM. After a 6-month treatment, the TB positive patients will remain separated from the other inmates as their lungs still have to be protected from the smoke inside the prison. Rosalie Cos, UNTV News and Rescue.
A municipal trial court in Davao City wants Edgar Matobato arrested. Victor Cosare will tell us why.
Self-confessed killer Edgar Matobato is facing a criminal charge of illegal possession of firearms in Davao City after he was caught carrying a gun at Saksa last June 2014. Matobato was able to get temporary liberty after posting bail. However, the accused has failed to appear before the court 5 times already for his arraignment. This prompted Municipal Trial Court Branch 3 Judge Silverio Mandalupe to issue an alias warrant against Matobato. Meanwhile, Davao City Vice Mayor Paulo Duterte has again refuted Matobato's accusations against him. These include the allegation of him being the mastermind behind the killings of some personalities in Davao City, including that of businessman Richard King.
Never in my life nga nanugo ko mong papatayag tao. Kung naamang ko'y kalagot sa isa ka tao, ako mismo mukulata niya. Ayaw ko ninyong pahirig daotan kay naa ko'y 5 ka anak.
Vice Mayor Duterte also insists that he does not know Matubato. But despite the allegations against him, Duterte has no plans to take any legal action against Matubato.
Useless. Nganong mo file kag kaso sa isa ka buang? Ipanyuro sana. And to tell you frankly, Mr. Matubato, I don't know you. Bisag mag-atbangay tanduha karon dayon. I never seen you in this city, not even once.
Victor Cosare, UNTV News and Rescue, Davao City.
The Department of Justice has no plans yet of asking House Committee on Justice to present the alleged private videos of Senator Laila de Lima and her former driver Ronnie Dayan in the continuation of investigation regarding illegal drug trade in the New Bilibid prison. Nel Maribuhok will tell us why.
Actually, mayroong mga nag-affidavit, bagong mga affiance to, na nagsasabi na, nag-confirm the existence of the video. But whether it will be played or not, depende na sa committee. Wala kaming say.
The Department of Justice Secretary Vitaliano Gerry has divulged that there are personalities who are willing to give testimonies on the authenticity of the alleged private videos of Senator Laila de Lima and her former driver Ronnie Dayan. But the Justice Department has no plans yet of asking House Committee on Justice to present the controversial video because they are confident that they could prove the relationship of the two without presenting the video.
Kasi dapat mo ma-explain para maging kapanipaniwala bakit nakakapasok itong si Dayan na kung ito lamang isang ordinary driver sa loob ng Bilibid, bakit nakapangolekta ito ng pera mula sa drug lords.
Senator Laila de Lima welcomed that said position of the DOJ.
If there is any sense of decency left in these men in the House of Representatives, they better think twice about that demented plan of theirs.
Meanwhile, Justice Department has 10 new witnesses that are willing to testify in the continuation of the House probe on NBP illegal drug trade, including Jonel Sanchez, the former aide of De Lima. Nel Maribuhok, UNTV News and Rescue, House of Representatives.
CHR Commissioner Roberto Cadiz questions Senator Richard Gordon's credibility to lead in the Senate investigation on the alleged extrajudicial killings in the country. Grace Casin will tell us why.
And I challenge him as a CHR commissioner, that the only way for him to recover his credibility as chairman of the Senate Investigating Committee is to continue on with the hearing and to listen to the other witnesses.
This was the challenge posed by Commission on Human Rights Commissioner Roberto Cadiz to Senator Richard Gordon, chairman of the Senate Committee on Justice. Cadiz was dismayed after Gordon suspended the probe without hearing the rest of the testimonies of the witnesses. The commissioner notes that the senators have not heard the full testimonies of Matubato regarding extrajudicial killings, especially the accounts of more than 10 witnesses of CHR. Cadiz believes that the testimonies of their witnesses will help greatly in the investigation, as they themselves had experienced extrajudicial killing of their relatives.
We believe that their testimonies are damning, and that's why we have decided to present them.
Cadiz adds that any report released by the committee at this point will lack credibility.
It's premature because there are so many witnesses yet to be presented.
Grace Casin, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
Senator Richard Gordon will urge the Senate Committee on Ethics to look into what he considers as unparliamentary behavior of Senator Laila de Lima and Senator Antonio Trillanes IV during the committee hearing yesterday. Joyce Balancho will tell us why.
Senator Richard Gordon will deliver a privileged speech tomorrow at the plenary session focusing on what he considers as unparliamentary behavior of Senator Laila de Lima and Senator Antonio Trillanes IV in yesterday's hearing. Gordon says he will highlight how the two senators allegedly disrespected the Senate committee, especially when Senator Laila de Lima walked out of the hearing during a heated debate with the other senators.
There is unparliamentary remarks made outside the session hall, made within the session hall, walking out on a committee, and then saying bad things about the committee is unparliamentary. In my book, I'm going to discuss with them. I'll probably refer this to the Committee on Rules or the Committee on Ethics for their disposition.
Under the Senate rules, a senator can be censured, suspended, or kicked out from post once it is proven that he or she gravely committed unparliamentary conduct. Senator Laila de Lima, on her part, apologizes for walking out yesterday, saying she was ganged up on by her colleagues on the floor.
And my apology now ay sa publiko po. Yung apology ko na sinabi ko ngayon na pasensya na po kayo dun sa outburst ko, sa pag-walk out ko, hanggat maaari hindi dapat po talaga yan ginagawa. Pero tumihingi rin po ako ng paumanhin, humihingi po ako ng pag-unawa na wala na po akong ibang choice kagabi. It's too much already.
The lady senator says Gordon and the other senators refuse to believe that she did not conceal anything about the witness Edgar Matubato. She maintains the kidnap for ransom case filed by the NBI agent against Matubato was clearly indicated in the transcript.
And so I was saying, how can he conceal? There was no concealment, there was nothing to conceal dahil dinisclose na pala yung fact na yan by the witness. So bakit kasalanan ko na ngayon?
Senator Antonio Trillanes IV adds it is not true that they deliberately prevented Edgar Matubato from being confronted in the Senate floor in front of the other witnesses whom he pointed as former members of the Davao Death Squad.
Very unfortunate yung nangyari kahapon dahil umaga pa lang sinasabi ko na pagharap-harapin na. Kaso ayaw nila gawin yon kasi napahiya na sila dahil kaya nga nila pinapunta itong mga policemen na na-identify ni Mr. Matubato dahil confident sila na hindi makikilala ni Mr. Matubato. Kasi hindi maganda yun, ituturo positively ni Mr. Matubato yung mga pulis.
He also says Senator Gordon should apologize for accusing De Lima of material concealment.
Well, pride na lang yan. Pride na lang yan, pero kitang-kita ng ating mga kababayan na pahiya siya. In fact, dun mismo sa transcript, sila mismo nag-exchange. So he cannot feign ignorance.
However, Senator Gordon believes there is no reason to apologize to De Lima. Meanwhile, the Senate will continue its investigation next week on the alleged cases of extrajudicial killings in connection to the war against drugs. Nevertheless, Edgar Matubato will no longer attend as witness. Joyce Balancho, UNTV News and Rescue, Senate of the Philippines.
Secretary Silvestre Bello III is set to travel to Oslo, Norway at 11 p.m. tomorrow for the second phase of the peace talks between the government and the CPP and PANDF. Socio-economic reforms and bilateral ceasefire will be at the center of discussions during the peace talks. Moreover, giving general amnesty to more than 400 political prisoners is included in their agenda.
They will also know we will be talking about the possibility of the President issuing a general amnesty proclamation subject to the concurrence of Congress. But this will only be considered after a final peace agreement.
A senior citizen diagnosed with a serious disease and her husband have expressed gratitude to UNTV's Serbisyong Kasambahay and MCGI. June Soriao tells us why.
Jose Ginto was worried about his wife Lolita, who had been diagnosed with brain tumor and has caused complications in different parts of her body. At 76 years old, Lolita Ginto has also been experiencing difficulty in walking since August this year.
Nilalakad ako ng kapatid ko si Narciso, Narsing. Brother Narsing, nahihirapan lang ako. Oo, lagi akong nakahiga. Oo, hirap lang, hirap. At saka tumayo. Hindi maunat yung mga, makakalakad akong pa, may tukod ako. Hirap lang. Minsan natutumba ako.
Because of her illness, she just lies down all day while reading the Bible or watching UNTV. She found out on UNTV that aside from preaching the words of God, the station also provides public service to the poor like the free medical mission she was able to take part in.
Nakikita ko si dito sa TV. Oo. Ayun po, nagbibigay siyang libreng gamot, libreng gamutan. Nakita ko rin ang pumunta ko doon ng mga doktor.
This prompted Lolita to request a wheelchair from the Ang Dating Daan or ADD Foundation led by Brother Eli Soriano. The ADD Foundation endorsed Lolita's request to UNTV and it was immediately responded to by the station with the help of one of its partners in public service.
Meron itong ito ho ay iahatid natin ng door-to-door yung ibinigay ninyo doon sa mga recipients po. Dahil meron na kagad, akala mo ganyang kabilis. So yung 3 po na yan na dala ninyo ay amin na hong isi-ship kagad.
The Ginto couple is very happy and thankful for receiving the wheelchair they requested.
Maraming salamat, Brother Eddie Soriano. Napakarami pong salamat sa inyo na pagbigyan nyo yung kahilingan kong wheelchair. Marami pa po kayong matutulungan.
Brother, yung message ko marami na lang salamat nabigyan nyo pong pangalawang paha.
Jun Suriao for Serbisyong Kasangbahay.
Coming up, the Japanese police investigate suspected poisoning of elderly patients in a Yokohama hospital.
And Toyota is set to sell next year mini robots that aim to interact with Japan's Lonely.
More from Y News after this break. A low-pressure area or LPA is now inside the Philippine Area of Responsibility or PAR. As of 4 p.m. today, it was located at 950 kilometers east of Casiguran, Aurora. The Philippine Atmospheric, Geophysical and Astronomical Services Administration or PAGASA says it is not discounting the possibility that the LPA may develop into a tropical cyclone and would go closer to Batanes by Thursday. The LPA is embedded along the Intertropical Convergence Zone affecting southern Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Based on PAGASA's forecast, Metro Manila, Central Luzon, Calabarzon, Mimaropa, Bicol, Visayas, and Mindanao will experience light to moderate rains. Partly cloudy to cloudy skies with isolated rain showers and thunderstorms will prevail over the rest of the country. Japan authorities are looking into the possibility of an inside job in the killing of elderly patients at a hospital in Yokohama. Danny Tixon will tell us why.
現の性格上ですね、やっぱり亡くなる方多いですけど、ただ確かにやや多いかなって感じを受けたんで、それでさっきお話したようにちょっと彼と見たりしたんですね。で、何も因果関係もないしということで、じゃあやっぱり重症の方が迎えてくるのが増えたんで、そのせいかなというところで終わってます。
Japanese police are investigating suspected poisoning deaths of 2 elderly patients at Oguchi Hospital near Tokyo. 2 88-year-old male patients died on the 4th floor of a Yokohama hospital on September 18th and 20 while they were administered intravenous drips. Police believe someone likely injected disinfectant into their drip feed bags.
前回の時も話しましたけど、内部の関係者ということも否定はできないという段階ですね。
Reports say autopsy findings reveal that a surfactant widely used in disinfectant and cleaning products was present in the victims' bodies. From July to September 20, 46 other patients died on the 4th floor. Japan's social security system is creaking as the numbers of old people grow. Health Ministry data show that abuse of elderly patients by nursing facility workers rose 36% in the year ending March 2015.
to hit a record of 300 cases.
Japan's growing number of elderly is straining its medical and nursing care facilities, where workers are insured due to long hours and low pay. Darlene, UNTV News and Rescue, Japan.
China is set to export corn, threatening the already saturated global market. Dulce Alarcon will tell us why.
China is planning to export corn in a radical move by the world's #2 producer to cut its ballooning surplus and unleash more supply into a saturated global market. The Chinese government has issued permits to 2 state-owned companies, top grains trader COFCO and a major processor and trader Beta Huang, allowing them to sell grain abroad in what could be the first bulk export in a decade. The green light was for around 2 million tons of corn to be exported by 3 state-owned companies. Traders and analysts said exports have been increasingly likely as China struggles with a massive grain surplus and prepares to harvest a bumper crop, its first in almost a decade without government price support. Chinese corn prices have slumped more than 20% in the past year and are expected to fall further towards international benchmarks. 5 of the top 10 corn importers are in Asia, which may allow China to compete with the Americans and others with a lower freight cost. Dulce Alarcon, UNTV News and Rescue, Shanghai, China.
Colombians look ahead to a possible second chance for talks between the government and the Farsi guerrillas after voters turned down the proposed peace deal. RC Reyes will tell us why.
Colombians in the capital, Bogota, are still hoping for possible renegotiations between the government and Marxist FARC guerrillas. This after voters rejected a hard negotiated peace deal as too lenient in a referendum. The peace accord signed last week offered the possibility that rebel fighters would hand in their weapons to the United Nations, confess their crimes, and form a political party rooted in their Marxist ideology. The vote showed a slight majority is unwilling, however, to accept concessions for rebel fighters in exchange for disarmament.
Entre varios acuerdos que realizaron en La Habana, uno de ellos era el salario y no estaba de acuerdo con que pues muchos de las personas que ganamos un sustento mínimo legal vigente, pues una persona que venga pues de la guerrilla, de las FARC, vaya a ganar pues mucho más que nosotros que nos hemos esforzado tanto tiempo. Por lo menos habría estado de acuerdo en donde por lo menos a nosotros también nos hubieran aumentado un poco.
The FARC would have been able to compete in the 2018 presidential and legislative elections and have 10 unelected congressional seats guaranteed through 2026. That enraged no supporters, including powerful former President Alvaro Uribe, who argued the rebels should serve jail terms and never be permitted to enter politics.
Yo pienso que es una oportunidad para el pueblo sentarse otra vez en la mesa y con la participación de todos los partidos, ojalá llegar a un acuerdo que realmente el pueblo colombiano lo puede aceptar.
President Santos has called an emergency meeting with leaders of the country's political parties to try to chart a way forward after Sunday's shock referendum defeat, but the outcome left no clear path to end a conflict.
Both sides in the war immediately sought to reassure the world they would try to revive their peace plan. RC Reyes, UNTV News and Rescue, Bogota, Colombia.
U.S. legislation that allows families of 9/11 victims to sue the Saudi Arabian government may impact international ties. Jude Abarquez will tell us why.
Saudi Arabia expresses that a U.S. law allowing citizens to sue the kingdom over the September 11, 2001 attacks represents a threat to international relations. The country further urges its Congress to act to prevent any dangerous consequences from the new legislation. The cabinet, at its weekly meeting in the capital Riyadh, also explains that the law known as the Justice Against Sponsors of Terrorism Act, or JASTA, represents a violation of a leading principle preventing lawsuits against governments that regulated international relations for hundreds of years. The U.S. Senate and House of Representatives voted overwhelmingly last week to approve legislation that will allow the families of those killed in the 2001 attacks on the United States to seek damages from the Saudi government. 15 out of the 19 hijackers were Saudi nationals, but Riyadh has always dismissed suspicions that it backed the attackers. The incident killed nearly 3,000 people. Riyadh is one of Washington's longest-standing and most important allies in the Middle East.
If it has a legal angle, so if it does lead to lawsuits actually happening, definitely Saudi Arabia and the relations with the US will be impacted. There is no doubt. However, there will be a period of wait and see, and there will be a period where people are watchful and want to understand what are the legal ramifications.
The Saudi government lobbied strongly against JASTA in the run-up to the vote and warned it would undermine the principle of sovereign immunity.
But Saudi officials stopped short of threatening any specific retaliation if the law was passed. Judah Barquez, UNTV News and Rescue, Riyadh, Saudi Arabia.
FIFA President Gianni Infantino talks about World Cup expansion. Aaron Romero will tell us why.
FIFA President Gianni Infantino proposes a larger World Cup tournament involving 48 teams from the current 32 teams. He suggests that 16 of those teams would go home after just one knockout match, and the rest of the tournament would be played just like now with a 32-team group stage to be followed by a knockout phase.
Entonces el fútbol creo esta fuerza de dar positividad a la gente y por esto este proyecto que se lanza aquí de educación a través del fútbol, educación, como decía, para aprender a ganar y a perder, para aprender muchos aspectos esenciales de la vida. Es un proyecto de verdad muy apasionante y muy interesante.
Meanwhile, Matthias Dolderer of Germany clinches the Red Bull Air Race World Championship with victory at the legendary Indianapolis Speedway in Indiana, USA. With one race still to come, Dolderer beat Britain's Nigel Lamb and Canada's Pete McLeod into second and third places respectively to ensure his first title.
It's amazing, of course, an amazing feeling. Even I can't tell you how it really is because I didn't have the time to think about. I have to go over there to the brick lane to give it a kiss.
Aaron Romero, UNTV News and Rescue, New York.
Thailand is considering a run of Zika tests to all pregnant women nationwide. Kat Dumaraos will tell us why.
Thailand is planning a Zika test run to all pregnant women after 2 cases of infant born with microcephaly were confirmed last week. A Zika test costs about 2,000 baht or $58 in every single test, but repeat tests are often needed. Thailand's health secretary said they have tested about 1,000 pregnant women on the Zika-affected areas in Thailand. Thailand has confirmed 392 Zika cases since January, including 39 pregnant women. There is no vaccine or treatment, and an estimated 80% of people infected with Zika have no symptoms, making it difficult for pregnant women to know whether they have been infected. Thus, a Zika test is now being considered.
The 2 confirmed cases of microcephaly here in Thailand are the first in Southeast Asia linked to mosquito-borne Zika. Kat Dumaraos, UNTV News and Rescue, Bangkok, Thailand.
Toyota unveils a mini robot that will potentially appeal to an aging population in Japan. Danny Tixon will tell us why.
Toyota Motors is set to start selling what it calls the Kirobo Mini Robot in Japan next year. This companion robot potentially appeals to an aging, shrinking population where a country of human interactions for some have decreased, and where companion robots have been quite popular even before.
車をパートナーとして見る方もいれば、いや単なる移動の道具ですっていう方もいらっしゃると思うんですよね。僕はやっぱりそっちを作りたいし、それと同じ気持ちで作ってるんだと思います。
The 10cm 183-gram robot can have basic conversations for about 2.5 hours after being charged for about 3 hours.
Kirobo Mini will also detect a person's presence, turning its head towards the person and use facial recognition to start conversation. The conversations along with where Kirobo Mini is taken to are recorded as data at multiple Toyota Center servers. The robot will go on pre-sale this winter for 39,800 yen, with a monthly fee of 300 yen for dedicated applications at Toyota vehicle dealers in Tokyo and Aichi Prefecture. Danny Tigzon, UNTV News and Rescue, Tokyo, Japan.
Those are the reasons behind the news, October 4, 2016. I'm Angelo Castro III.
Reasons we delivered to you as they unfold. I am Darlene Basingan.
Because we need to know, we will always ask why. Thank you for watching Y News.